Hello everyone, my name's Bandito, and today I'm going to talk about a game that has grabbed me, held me down, and pleased me. That's a weird way to say that. So I would classify myself as a hardcore casual gamer. I'm not a speedrunner or an esports athlete or anything like that. I play games because I like to have fun. Now, most of the time, that means I'm playing multiplayer games with my friends, Apex Legends, Overwatch, and generally just farting around on Discord, having a good time. And the older I get, I tend to avoid games that waste my time. Most of the Assassin's Creed series, Hitman, Cyberpunk, Forspoken, Call of Duty, Animal Crossing, more than half of what Bethesda puts out, Death Stranding, games like this, but I really don't enjoy game mechanics and things that just are there to pad out time or space for no particular reason. When I first gave Hogwarts Legacy a try, I went in with medium expectations, expecting it to be like a Bethesda game, but with a Harry Potter skin on it that satisfied my want for a Harry Potter game that isn't this.
I'm off to the leaky cauldron for a few butterbeers if you need me.
9 out of 10 open world games are pretty terrible, and I could make a whole video about why most open world games suck, but I think you get the general gist. It's huge areas, not a particularly good reason, padded out with the same enemies over and over, the same collection quests, the same collectibles, and not all of them feel particularly satisfying or rewarding. And Hogwarts Legacy does this to an extent, but when your open world is just open for the sake of being open, it's not an open world game. It's a linear game, but instead of being able to just go from quest to quest and play the levels, you have to have all of this ridiculous, nonsensical travel time and weakened characters because you have to collect a bunch of little crap in order to level up your character and get the skills that you need to make the game fun and enjoyable. And then you play Hogwarts Legacy, and boom, the main quests and story is intentional, it's well thought out. It has a place to take you from beginning to end, and it's gonna lead you all over the land and areas of the story and give you opportunities to explore and take on side quests, but it still brings you back into a central location, being Hogwarts, and tells you a pretty interesting story about ancient magic, morality, and the decision of if you should do things just because you can. Covers pretty deep themes on human emotion and pain and whether it's necessary to the human condition, and it's quite good. And then you got side quests galore. Everything from clearing out enemy camps near settlements to fetch quests to rescuing pets. There's a little bit of everything for everyone. Now, a lot of these can be a little bit recycled, but they're done in interesting ways with interesting NPC characters that make each one feel kind of fun. And there's so many of them that you really don't have to do all of them. If you're tired of rescuing people's magical beasts, just don't pick up those quests. There's so many other quests that you can do that'll give you experience and appearances and gold that you can kind of pick and choose what you want to do. Hogwarts Legacy does a really good job of making doing these quests worth your while, especially in the early game, because money, gold, or galleons is not easy to come by in the early game. You have minimal equipment slots. Most of the equipment that you can pick up and sell is not very good, so cash is kind of king. It naturally makes these side quests more necessary and gives you a much wider variety in the beginning, and then late game you can take on some of the repeatable ones if you want higher tier rewards, but it's not at all necessary. I greatly value when game developers give their players choice. I'll touch on how this game didn't do that in a minute. And then one more thing on side quests is that they add in the fact that most people will take a favor or an IOU or a thank you, and it's up to you to shake them down to get paid. You can be a goody two-shoes and do things out of the goodness of your heart, or you can select a dialogue option that's basically,
"Give me your fucking money!"
And if you love Harry Potter or the Wizarding World stuff, then you're really going to enjoy this game. Now I'm going to give it a score, and then I'm going to get into more spoilery, deeper gameplay discussion. My score, I have 2 scores. If you are an existing Harry Potter fan, has read all the books and seen all the movies, and just gets down with the Harry Potter universe, 4 out of 5. Really good, worth picking up. Not a perfect masterpiece by any means, but a really good time, and a gripping and enthralling world that sucked me in for 50 plus hours. I would play for 8 hours and not even notice that I had been playing for that long. And 3 out of 5 if you're not that into Harry Potter and you just kind of like fun games. This game has great combat, the quests are fun, the storyline is interesting, the gameplay is mostly polished and tight. There are some bugs and some certain gameplay mechanics that I'm just not a big fan of, but we'll touch on that. So a 3 out of 5 if you are not into Harry Potter, and a 4 out of 5 if you are. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. Okay, now we're gonna go a little deeper into specific things that I liked or didn't like. So fair warning, spoilers for different gameplay things and even storylines. So let's talk about a few things that I really liked. The combat. I don't know about you guys, but if you grew up watching Harry Potter and reading the books, Wizard Duels was the coolest thing in the entire world. And if you've ever played any of the previous Harry Potter games, Wizard Duels were not fun. Even in the most recent installment, the movie video game for the Deathly Hallows was like a really bad third-person shooter that just didn't hit the mark. This, on the other hand, between the lock-on system, the spidey senses, spell counters, combinations of all 18 spells that you can use and how they interact with each other, the ability to use plants and potions to make every encounter different and dynamic is really fun. Now, does it run its course? Sure, every game combat system does. You get enough of it, you play it, you got the feel. You start to find combos and things that really work really well and might be a little bit overpowered compared to some others. You find some spells that you like and you don't like, and you can kind of mix and match it to build whatever playstyle you want. If you want to be a Death Eater and run through, just curse and kill everyone, great. If you want to play more like an Auror, where you're using Expelliarmus and Depulso and different controlling spells to subdue your enemies, then you can. If you want to be stealthy, which boring, then throw on your Disillusionment Charm, go around and Petrificus Totalis everybody. There's a lot of different ways to approach a combat scenario, and you can kind of do a playstyle that you think looks cool, feels cool, and is strong enough to beat plenty of enemies. Also in the combat, there's a lot of really interesting, unique enemy interactions that you can use. So the Dubogs, for example, which are like the giant mud frog enemies, you can lift them by their tongue and then use a slicing charm to basically kill them instantly. A troll, if he goes to slam you with his club and misses, you can use Flipendo to flip his club back into his face. You can learn transfiguration charms and turn enemies into inanimate objects, and with a trait increase, you can turn them into exploding barrels and then fling those exploding barrels at other enemies. There's a lot of really interesting ways to fight in this game. Next, I want to talk about the variety of side quests. Delivery quests and fetch quests and things like that. Not that exciting, but every so often you get a side quest that really piques your interest. Most of them have a component like this. If you choose, you can find out a lot more about the world and characters. For example, there's a side quest for the Three Broomsticks barkeep, Sirona, where she asks you to deliver some potion supplies and pick up a box of old letters from a family that she used to stay with while she was a student at Hogwarts. And through dialogue options and eventually having to go to a cave to find these letters, you can actually read them. And you read about a student who's a normal Hogwarts student who was worrying about Quidditch and what their friends were doing and like what a normal wizarding world experience would be, and you get it through these text box and dialogue. It gives you a much bigger picture on this NPC and who she is, and she doesn't even really need to tie into the main story much. Even though she has a small part, it's not necessary, but she's a very interesting character that if you choose to explore it, you can explore more of her background and get more story out of it. It's a really interesting story, how she came to Hogwarts, how she moved to the Highlands and ended up waiting tables at the Three Broomsticks and met a family in Hogsmeade that agreed to let her stay over the summer so she could keep waiting tables, and she always had a dream while she was at Hogwarts to eventually own a place like the Three Broomsticks, and now she does. And so you get to see all of these things happen with characters that you would never get to know about if it weren't for this game. And as someone who really likes Harry Potter, I think that's really cool. I also want to talk about their attention to detail. Harry Potter is an established universe. The wizarding world is an established universe. Hogwarts is a place with features that are already described. And these game developers, you can tell that they're passionate about the small details that make this world immersive and special, especially to people who already love this universe. A great example is the prefect bathroom. There's a good video out on YouTube and you can go check it out. But basically, if you read through the couple of paragraphs, which is the fourth book, it's Harry describing the prefect bathroom as he's going in there to figure out how to work the merpeople egg, and he describes the bathroom in great detail. And if you go into the prefect bathroom in this game, it is exactly as he described it. Every detail that was written in that book is in this rendering. And it's really, really cool. All of the secrets that you remember from the books and the movies about Hogwarts are built into the game. They have their own little side quests and stories, and you get to relive your favorite moments from the book, like the one-eyed witch statue that you can whisper a password to and get to an underground tunnel that leads you all the way to Honeyduke's and Hogsmeade. The password required to get up to the headmaster's office, and the staircase, just like from the movie, that opens up and spirals out. It's all there. The architecture looks like the movies, it looks like the books. It's an amalgamation of all of the existing areas that we know of and brings it together into a cohesive, experienceable place. I also really like that all of your gear can be reskinned to look like whatever you want it to look like. Your best gear might all look stupid together, and you don't really want to be running around looking like that, so it lets you, with magic, reskin it to look like any other piece of gear that you've collected. So you can look how you want to look, and you don't have to sacrifice gameplay and good gear. I also really liked the main dungeons. Actually, after the second one, I was worried that it was going to be like kind of repeats of the same style of dungeon, very similar to Breath of the Wild. Then you get to the third trial, the third main dungeon or of sorts, and it is totally different than everything else. This is something that I actually don't want to spoil because it really took me by surprise when I first played it, but it is so interesting. And then of course, everyone's favorite Slytherin, Sebastian.
Kick his ass, Seabass!
Now let's talk about some things that I did not enjoy about this game. Number one, everything having to do with the LeviOHsa spell. So the fact that there are levels to locks, the fact that you have to grab collectibles in order to increase your spell skill to unlock certain doors, the entire plot of helping the groundskeeper with the weird statues in order for him to teach you an unlocking charm, and not to mention the stupid minigame that you have to play every time you unlock a lock anywhere in the world. The minigame is dumb, and that's not how the charm works in the world. You should just LeviOHsa, lock unlocks, get on with your life. They should have just removed the minigame, left in the leveling system, or removed the leveling system and left in the minigame and just made the minigame a little bit harder for different lock types. It's too much, it annoys me, and I haven't been into a ton of rooms in this game, and I've been locked out of areas in dungeons that I've already visited that I'm gonna have to backtrack to once I get a leveled up unlocking charm. Dumb. All of these skeleton statue mini games where you have to build a bridge or an archway of bones. Here's a clip of them clipping through the floor and becoming lost to me, and me having to leave the dungeon and reset the puzzle. They start behaving, they get weird physics. They're just buggy and not good and frustrating and not a clean, polished game mechanic. Did not like that. It either needed to be more polish added to it or just removed entirely because it just didn't hit the mark, and it was generally frustrating every time I had to do one of these dumb lift the skeleton to the pedestal puzzles. It's not even a puzzle. Not being able to cast LeviOHsa and maintain your speed, that's really annoying. You're running through a dungeon and you're just trying to cast LeviOHsa to see if you're missing a bag of coins or a chest with gear. Your character has to slow down to a slow walk, cast the spell, and then you can start moving again. Just let me run and cast the spell, man. Come on. Also, the LeviOHsa mechanic kind of took away from my maybe sense of achievement and enjoyment of a lot of the puzzles. Because I cast it so much in the dungeon trying to find loot, I end up revealing the solutions to puzzles even if I don't want it. Let me figure it out by myself. The beast catching minigame, I don't know, kind of boring. Also, the whole being able to sell beasts feels antithetic to the entire poaching line. I don't know about that. That's a little weird. The broom controls, why it doesn't just go where I'm pointing to decide my elevation, that I have to use buttons to increase or decrease my altitude. It should just go where I'm looking. And there's actually a PC mod that on the broom, you will fly in the direction that you're facing. It makes broom flying so much more fun. Otherwise, the game was really good. It lacked a certain amount of polish, some of its gameplay mechanics that I think do take away from the game a little bit, but they don't make it not worth playing. Anyways, that's all of my thoughts on Hogwarts Legacy. If you liked this video, give it a like, give it a subscribe. I plan on making more videos like this in the future, maybe moving away from just pure gameplay content and giving you more breakdowns of what I think about games. I also stream 3 days a week on Twitch, every Tuesday and Friday, and sometimes on Monday and Thursday during the day, sometime between 11 and 1 Mountain Time, and then I usually stream into the evening. Come by, stop by, it's a fun time. I play Overwatch and Hogwarts and all sorts of stuff, so hope to see you there. Thanks for watching, I appreciate you, and take good care of yourselves.